What had begun as the development of the ultimate war machine had ended up as this: a handful of barely controllable, psychotic, super-tracking monsters, their fragile internal setups corroding more as each day passed. But for now, they were still fearsome. Infused with the mind of a man, the tracking ability of a bloodhound, and the physical strength of a cyborg, here they were. Mega Britain's ultimate invention, the Huntsman. Clayton leaned over the pit, terrified but as ever fascinated by them. He counted 12 in all, but he knew there were more, locked away in cells further underground. This was what Kamsky called the exercise yard, but no matter how long they stayed on the dirty sand and straw of the pit, they didn't move from the walls. Dark, twisted wraiths, wanting only to get out. A drop of sweat beaded on his forehead and dropped into the pit. Dah! The nearest huntsman howled like a dying animal and leapt at him, jumping higher than any man should, frothing rabid jaws snapping towards his face. Even as it dropped back to the floor, having got no closer than 5 or 6 feet, Clayton staggered backwards into the wall, mouth dropping open, hands unable to support him. He slipped and tumbled to the ground, a low moan coming from his throat. His eyes rolled, and he felt an uncomfortable warmth in his groin area. He would have lost consciousness if Kamsky hadn't slapped him hard across the face. Recovering his composure, Clayton pushed himself up against the wall, eyes darting about. Aren't they beautiful? The scientist grinned into his face. Oh dear. Kamsky wrinkled his nose. Had a little accident, did you, Mr. Clayton? Get me out of here, Clayton growled. Kamsky called forward a couple of guards, and they helped Clayton to his feet. Back in the pit, he heard the snarling of one of the huntsmen, the hideous scrape of its clawed hands scratching at the pit walls. Clayton excused himself, and a guard showed him to a crude bathroom. After he cleaned himself up under a single hanging bulb, he stared at himself in the mirror above a dirty sink. He was dismayed at how different sanitary standards were down in these lower levels, but they were the least of his worries. It was madness to let those beasts out onto the streets. If one of them got loose, the slaughter could be unimaginable, but within hours they would be in his charge.